Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a deeply compassionate yet intensely practical guide on something a lot of people struggle with but rarely talk about: breaking the family power balance. We're going to explore how to escape toxic family dynamics and really rebuild your autonomy, specifically if you're currently living at home. This source material offers a profound look into the hidden mechanics of family control, and more importantly, the concrete steps required to break free. So let's dive right in. Let's start by validating a struggle that honestly traps so many of us. The source poses a fascinating question. If you are so utterly unhappy living under your family's roof, and leaving would theoretically make everything easier, why does the simple act of packing your bags and walking out the door feel literally paralyzing? Well, the answer lies in this painful emotional gridlock. It's like a tug of war. On one side, you've got this desperate, angry urge for freedom. But fighting against it is this lingering loneliness, a heavy sense of guilt, and this stubborn, hopeful wish that maybe, if you just tried hard enough, you could somehow fix the family. You feel like you've already given so much, yet a part of you still just wants to make it work. To truly get why you feel so stuck in that gridlock, we need to talk about what the text calls unconscious abuse. Now, this isn't necessarily overt physical harm. It's more like an invisible environment. It's the subtle emotional pressure, the silent expectations, and rigid roles that quietly, but systematically, strip away your autonomy. From the outside looking in, the family might look perfectly normal, which makes the reality of it incredibly difficult to explain to anyone else. And honestly, this dynamic is what makes the whole thing so incredibly confusing. You might be ready to leave, and suddenly you remember a fantastic family trip or a really happy birthday. The thing is, you can have genuinely fond memories sitting right next to deep emotional wounds. A happy memory doesn't erase the pain of the control you endured, and the pain doesn't mean the happy moments were a total lie. Both of these truths can and do exist at the exact same time. So, the absolutely crucial takeaway here: you do not have to paint your past in only one color. Human relationships are messy. They aren't just black and white. Accepting that you were hurt while also acknowledging that there were moments of kindness relieves this massive cognitive burden. It stops you from gaslighting your own memory and finally allows you to look at your history with clarity instead of confusion. Since no one else is there to verify what happens behind closed family doors, the text suggests a really grounding exercise. First, write down the objective facts of what happened. Second, record exactly how you felt in that moment. And third, note what you were forced to endure silently, like swallowing your anger or feeling completely unable to ask for help. You aren't doing this to put your family on trial. You're doing it purely to validate your own reality and trust your own memory again. All right, moving on to Section 1, the family power balance. This is all about shifting from emotional battles to financial realities. This comparison right here is a real light bulb moment in the text. When you rely on your family for the basics, rent, food, daily bills, arguing back emotionally is just utterly exhausting. Why? Because you're trying to win an emotional argument against the person who ultimately holds the leverage over your daily physical survival. They control the resources, which naturally gives them the louder voice. I really love how the text puts this. You are not weak for being unable to argue back. The side that controls the foundation of life naturally holds the power. So many people feel deeply ashamed that they can't just stand up to their parents as adults. But listen, it's not a personality flaw. It's a structural power imbalance. Living at home isn't the real issue. The suffocating part is the feeling that you literally have no other options. Now, as you actually start planning your exit, you're going to hit an inevitable hurdle. This brings us to Section 2, the truth about guilt, and why feeling bad doesn't mean you are doing something wrong. An overwhelming wave of guilt is almost certainly going to hit you as you pack those bags. You might feel like you're straight up abandoning the parents who raised you. But the source explains that this guilt actually stems directly from breaking out of the rigid role you were assigned as a kid, like playing the peacemaker or the one who just quietly endures. You feel guilty because you're prioritizing your own needs for the very first time, not because you're committing some moral failure. And here is the most empowering takeaway. Do not wait for the guilt to disappear before taking action. Seriously, if you wait for a perfectly clear conscience, you're never going to leave. You can feel incredibly guilty, your heart can be heavy, and you can still pack your boxes and sign that new lease. Your feelings and your actions can operate on two completely separate tracks. Okay, let's pivot to the logistics. Section 3, practical steps to independence. This is where we leave the abstract behind for the mundane. See, true independence isn't some dramatic movie scene where you storm out of the house into the night. According to the source, it's actually built quietly through admin work. It's Step 1, calculating your monthly fixed costs and moving fees. Step 2, securing your personal documents. And Step 3, taking control of your own bank accounts and phone bills. Tackling these everyday, mundane details is what actually dismantles your family's control over your life. And as you plan this, you've got to create a realistic safety net. Moving out isn't a do-or-die cliff jump. The text makes a brilliant point here, knowing that if you stumble, you can downsize to a cheaper room, cut expenses, or hey, even temporarily return home to reset, totally removes that terrifying fear of failure. A backup plan isn't running away. It's just a smart strategy so you don't feel like you're betting your entire life on one single decision. Once you're out of that environment and your logistical foundation is totally separated, we reach the final stage, Section 4, Reclaiming Your True Self, where small choices have a massive impact. People who've endured unconscious abuse often lose their sense of self, mostly because they've spent their whole lives tiptoeing around other people's moods. But finding yourself again doesn't require some grand mountaintop revelation about your life's purpose. It is entirely about making everyday, incredibly normal choices. You reclaim your autonomy in tiny increments. It's deciding when you want to wake up and sleep without worrying if someone will judge you for it. It's choosing the food you actually want to eat, arranging your room to your own personal taste, and deciding who you genuinely want to spend your time with. By making these small choices without anticipating a family member's reaction, you literally rebuild your identity, block by block. Now, recovery is a process, and your emotions are going to bounce between fear and relief constantly. But if you separate those messy feelings from a concrete timeline of actions, like sorting just one document today, calculating your expenses this week, picking a neighborhood this month, you're going to keep moving forward, even on the days you feel completely scared or unmotivated. As you step into this new chapter, I want you to remember this piece of advice from the text. Acknowledge that past version of you who tried so hard to make the family work. But now, move forward for yourself. You survived by adapting to a tough environment. Validate that past version of yourself who desperately tried to fix things. They really did their best. But make the conscious choice right now that from this moment on, you are living for your own future. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. What is one small, everyday choice that you can reclaim for yourself today to start building your own foundation of freedom? Start right there and build your way out. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this deep dive, and I'll catch you in the next one.